This is Conversations
with Ronnie Keith
and Iris. With Conversations with
Ronnie Keith
and Iris. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys for listening, sharing,
for all that love,
downloading. I know that Iris and I have been apart for the last couple of episodes here. She's done her thing, riding solo.
And you done your thing.
Why, thank you.
That's right.
Andrea Perryman. Not Andrea Perryman, who came on to sit with you to talk about thyroid eye disease. That was a great conversation you had with her.
You.
Please go out and listen if you have not had a chance.
And then your Sinners episode was last week. That was amazing.
Absolutely. Yes,
that movie is, let me tell you guys something. If you have not seen it, please see it.
Yes. That was
everybody should watch
two parts with Antoine and Rock, Morehouse Brother 1 and 2. Those episodes came out. So we had a great discussion with that. We thank you guys so much for all of the support. Want to give a quick shout out here. There's a lot of countries and territories that have been downloading the Conversations with Ronnie Keith and Iris podcast. And so want to give a shout out here to Jacksonville, Florida, Titusville, Florida, Mannheim, Baden, Württemberg, Indianapolis, Indiana, Hyattsville, Maryland, Winter Park, Florida, Los Angeles, California, Columbia, South Carolina, Ashburn, Virginia, Sydney, New South Wales.
What?
Perry, Ridgeland, Mississippi, Stevenson Ranch, California, New Haven, Connecticut, Henderson, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, and Pflugerville,
I'm flattered.
Texas. Those are just a few. I can't go through all of you.
Thank you so much for the love and support and the streaming. The fan mail, don't forget to send us fan mail. That's a big one. Don't be afraid to tell us, hey, what did you think about the episode? What could we do better? Did you enjoy something from the conversation? Just tell us. I want to know.
Absolutely. So when you listen to us on whatever streaming app, you'll see right there highlighted as you open up the app for our episode, it'll say text Conversations with Ronnie Keith and Iris. Click that. It will send you to an app to send us fan mail. We don't know who you are unless you put your name. It only gives us the area and the last 4 digits of your phone number. That's it. But send it to us because we would really like to hear from you guys and let us know what you think about our guests and just our conversations that we have with each other. Today we have, just like any other day, a very, very special episode with a very special guest.
It's definitely going to be a raw episode, real and just deeply human. And we're going to have a wonderful survivor, a truth teller, the voice behind the Murder, Blood, and Psychopaths podcast. At 17 years old, this young lady was feeling trapped in a cycle of abuse. But instead of staying silent, she chose to speak out. And you know what? She turned that pain into purpose. And now she's just such a wonderful advocate for domestic abuse awareness, trauma recovery, and as well, justice for victims. As a matter of fact, we're just going to dive into a little personal fight and shed some light on her unsolved mystery with her aunt Milagros Vigini, a story of just heartbreak and the injustice and relentless determination. Without further ado, please help me welcome Miss Eileen Santos.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome.
Hey, I'm good, you guys. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm very honored.
So, I'm sorry, Eileen. I had you on mute there. I apologize.
No, you're felicitated. It's so fine. Like I was saying, like, thank you guys so much for having me on your platform. Like I really, really appreciate both of you guys. I love the vibe. So thank you so much. And I'm really honored.
Oh, yes. The pleasure is all ours. We are very, very honored to have you on. We cannot wait to talk with you so you can, share your story. Because, the one thing that we always can go to and, understand is that when you talk about your story, no matter what it is, you don't know who you're helping who may need to hear this story in particular to help them in whatever it is that they may have a struggle in, something that may help them just get over the top and get them to a place of security and safety,
Yeah.
or just, for their knowledge. And so that's what we strive to do here. And I believe that you bring a lot to the table with that today.
Of course, you guys. So let me know. Do we get it started now? And I'll just tell my story, guys.
Yeah, I would like to because I would like to know how did you become such a fierce advocate for domestic abuse awareness, trauma recovery, and just justice for victims whose stories are too often ignored,
Yeah.
which is unfortunately, sadly true for our society. So, Eileen, let's unpack that a little bit, and let's start from the beginning, from your childhood and what led to that.
All right. So what actually made me be like a fierce advocate, like I would be a hypocrite to be like that God wasn't involved in my journey because by the blessings of God, I'm literally here telling my story. Um,
Amen.
I
Yeah.
became empowered also because my therapist, he heard my story. He's like, you need to tell it, because I think God wants you to, you were in bondage. Now it's your turn to spread the word, right? And I
Mhm.
never,
Yes.
yeah, and I never thought of it that way. So I was like, all right. So that's how I began with this podcast. And I'm like, you know what? And it's not just only women that go through abusive relationships; it's also men, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Hmm.
there is a stigma, and we know like if men get abused by a woman, all of a sudden like even if they like file some kind of report, like I've even heard like officers laughing, and I'm like, but they're telling you they're being abused, like it's not a joke.
Right.
So honestly, this is for anyone, honestly, any gender. If you're going through an abusive relationship, these were the signs. um yes, we had the internet, but it wasn't at the tip of our finger. I was only 17 years old, graduating high school.
Oh, wow.
I,
Mm.
I was a virgin, and I pride myself with that. I came from a Christian background, where my grandmother, she always told me, value yourself and never ever let a man like devalue you. And she always taught me the way of God. So in
Amen.
this, I'm literally, like I said, out of high school, I got a job. I started working at McDonald's, and I was really proud of myself. I was going to go to college. I was like, you know what? I want to study criminal justice and I want to be an officer because I want to study criminal psychology.
Mhm.
And in everything that was going on, my aunt Millie, she was actually tragically murdered in July. Um,
Mm.
and it,
Oh, oh.
yeah, and that impacted me so much because, guys, she was my beacon of hope. Like when I tell you that she was like my best friend, even though she was my mom's best friend since like childhood, like they've known each other since they were young.
Mhm.
Like Millie was like my best friend. Millie, I would tell her anything, and she would give me advice.
Mhm.
And she wouldn't like fight me. She wouldn't fight against me, or normally, like it would just be like this big sister, and I loved her. And one day, we were supposed to hang out with her, and I remember I'm in the car with my twin sister and my mom, and we're gonna celebrate our milestone because my twin sister and I, we graduated high school,
Mhm.
and we get a call from her. And at that time, there was this popular movie called Sankey Bunky. Um, and she was like, "Hey girls, like you girls want to come over? I have a friend that's over." So we were like, "Okay, no problem." So after we come back from the Cheesecake Factory, we'll go and visit you. But then after, a thunderstorm happened and it got late, so we didn't call her. And for some reason, I go to sleep and I get just this feeling, this voice inside of me is telling me, it wakes me up and it's like, you have to run to Millie. And I'm like, but why? And they're like, you have to run and you can't stop. You gotta run. And I regret not listening to that voice because I was wrestling with it at 3 in the morning, and I was like, but why do I need to go? So I rationalized it. I'm a teenager. I was like, man, I just got to blow out.
Just
I
put
don't
it
want
on.
to get it wet. Like I was like, I'll check on Millie. And then I believe like my mom calls her the next day, and we don't get an answer. but my mom doesn't find it weird. We don't find it weird. And then she calls again, and we're calling, and no one knows. We haven't heard of Millie. So then the next call we get is Millie's sister, and my twin sister picks up. She calls my mom's cell phone, and she's like, "Listen, Millie was murdered,"
Oh my
and
God.
Gosh.
just like that. And I remember my twin sister. I never heard a scream. It was blood curly, and she just goes, "No, no, Millie." And I was so close. I was closer to Millie than my twin sister was. So I was like, "Oh, you have to tell me." And she's like, "Millie, she's dead." And I'm like, I bawled, I cried, and I was like God, like I didn't listen to that voice. And that's when I had told my mom like what happened. And I'm like, "Mom, I swear I heard a voice." And we were really sad because she was murdered by this random guy. We don't know who he was. And till this day her case is unsolved.
How many
And
years
Oh
ago
my
was that?
God.
yeah, that was in 2007, like
Oh my God.
in July. Like it happened around the 4th of July, and I believe like
Mhm.
around the 6th of July is when her son stumbled upon her body. And her son was saying, her son thought that it was like an ex-boyfriend that she had, but I knew deep down in my heart that's not what it was. And I'm like, I don't think it was him. And I'm just like, I've tried to hit up detectives like who were working the case, because there's some details that I kind of remember that I don't know if I share with the police, because I believe that there is an individual that murdered her. He happens to be a case manager of hers, and he was
Mhm.
like really obsessed with her, and he like did an advance towards her, and she kind of like rebuffed it, and from there, like when she rejected him, like he became nasty.
Oh my
So
Mhm.
goodness.
yeah.
So they
So
never looked into, they never brought him in for questioning. They never looked
oh
into his alibis or anything like that.
yeah, like they did, but unfortunately, like they ruled him out. But I'm like, the guy that Millie had in her apartment was the guy because she was at a shelter.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't believe in coincidences. Like it's the guy from the shelter. Like like he was that guy's case manager as well.
Hmm.
Um, but we don't know like that many details. She never revealed the name. All she
Mhm.
said was it was a guy from my friend from the shelter or something like that.
Wow.
Mm.
And you feel pretty confident that that's what you feel in your spirit,
And
that
my
it was
yeah,
a guy from the shelter.
I,
Wow. And I want to definitely go back to, you said the night before you just have, like, we call it presentimiento, you had a
yes,
feeling, right?
I
That
had.
something was off. Explain that a little bit.
All right, so when I tell you something was off, and literally, my daughter even says, "Mom, you're crazy," but she got scared because I'm like, I have this relationship with God, and my Holy Spirit talks to me.
Hmm.
So when my Holy Spirit tells me, like, I know that's God's voice, and God is telling me. God told me, woke me up at 3 in the morning. It's thunderstorming. I woke up and it was that, and I just hear the Holy Spirit telling me, you have to go to Millie's. You gotta run and you can't stop. You just gotta go. You gotta go straight. Don't make
Mhm.
any stops, and you gotta run to her. And I'm questioning it, and the voice just keeps telling me, you gotta go. You gotta go. But again, like I said, I kept rationalizing it. Like, man,
Yeah.
I just got a blowout. Like, my hair. Like, Millie's
Right.
Yeah.
gonna
Right.
understand. Like.
Right.
Aw.
But and I was like 17. I was gonna be 18 that in September. So I was like, oh my god. But it was that. But then also, in that breath, like I don't know if he would have been in there, but I know that this voice would never put me in danger. When I felt that, I was like, it was her. And even my mom gets goosebumps when I tell her.
Well, I hope that you don't, carry that with you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I understand that, you talk about trying to listen to the Holy Spirit, guiding you and telling you to go seek out your aunt. But one thing that, God is never going to give us is a burden too heavy for us to carry.
Amen.
And I don't want you to go through life having that burden, believing that, you could have stopped that or you could have been there. That could have been God's way of alerting you that something had happened already,
Yeah.
maybe to get there. And as you said, God, would never put you in a place of danger. And so it could have been an alert of, it already happened. And so I just hope you don't carry that burden on you. It sounds like you may be, and I just want you to know that that's nothing that you at that point could have done other than be the one to maybe, you know, call the paramedics, and that could have been really traumatizing for you. So if you can, ask God that to lift that burden off of you, because you don't need to carry that.
Oh, for sure. Like, thank you. Like, it's crazy because, like, for a long time, like, that's what it felt like. And I was like, but I'm always praying to God, and I'm like, God, like, reveal it to me, reveal it to me. And I remember having a dream, like, it was the craziest day, like, having a dream that I'm like with this detective, and we like solved her case. And I could never see his face, I could only see his
Mm-hmm.
complexion. So I'm like, it's like, it was, it's a brownish golden complexion. And for some reason, I'm seeing tattoos, but I can't never see his face. So I'm like, all right, like baby steps. But yeah, like I did carry that guilt, but in the same breath, like I kind of had to also, like you said, like let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I couldn't control the chain of events that already were gonna happen.
That's right.
And if that was God's plan, like I honestly, God knows, better than I do why things happen. And honestly, and I bring her up because if I had her around, I wouldn't have gotten into the mess of this abusive relationship because I would have opened up to her. She was
Okay.
the only person that knew things about me. When I was very young, I don't tell too many people.
Mm-hmm.
My sister and I, we were molested. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So my mom was she was trying to make ends meet. It's three of us, and she rented this room out to this guy, and he came drunk and did inappropriate things. And we told our mom, and she tried to like make us out like liars, and it hurt us. And
Mm-hmm.
Millie, like if it wasn't for Millie telling my mom, kick this man out of the house, like you don't need money that bad if your daughters are telling you this man did this. um, and my mom eventually listened to Millie, and Millie was just, she was this big foundation in my life. So I'm just showing you this pattern of a person who she was. And honestly, like I said, I wouldn't have gotten into this abusive relationship with Nathan if I really had her, right?
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. And Eileen, before we move on, to your relationship and how did that start? You had mentioned Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just want to ask, you had mentioned that her son was the one who found her murdered,
Yes.
your cousin, if that's the case. How is
Yeah.
he doing today? Like, how is his state of mind? Because to see your mom being murdered or to have
Oh,
witnessed her body, I bet that took a very severe toll on his mental health, and basically it ruins you as a person, like it ruins your heart, so how is he doing now?
oh yeah. Michael, like I keep up with him like Facebook, like I'll see him post pictures. But I can tell because she had three kids. Like her daughter was only about like 6 years old, and she was an exceptional mom. She always gave him hugs and kisses. She was like one of those moms that was like suffocating, and they hated it. But I can tell that they literally they weren't doing okay. Even though her sister, whose husband was a retired police officer, they took all three of her kids to live in Florida. Michael, I believe, was like 12 at the time. Her son Franklin was like the oldest one, so I'm 36, so he's around my age. He was a little older, and then Christina, her youngest, which she was 6 at the time, they all went to Florida to start over. But I can tell like their mental took a hit. Like it really did, because for a long time I didn't really hear from them
Mm-hmm.
up until I think my twin sister on Facebook found Millie's sister. And then that's when we got updates like Christina, she graduated, I believe, high school. She went to college and she's successful. She's a flight attendant, I believe, for Delta, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's good.
And yeah, like I was so happy. Michael so much doesn't really post, so I'm not sure like what he's doing now. But based on like what I've seen him posting, I don't know that he furthered his education,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Hmm.
And Franklin, I believe he had a family of his own, actually. I believe he had like a daughter. And I remember looking at his daughter and I'm like, oh my God, she's like Millie reincarnate. Like I was crying. I was like, she looks like your mom. Like
Oh.
it was so beautiful. I was like, I was so happy for him. He has his family, his beautiful wife. And I'm like, man, but for a long time, their mental really did take a hit. It really did.
I'm
Oh my
sure.
goodness.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that this happened when you were about to turn 18 years
18, yeah.
old. So tell
Right?
us about when you had mentioned Nathan came into your life and you found yourself, as I mentioned, in a cycle of abuse, that tried to silence you, but you sure prevailed through that. Tell us a little bit of when did that start? Did that happen right after Millie?
Yeah, like wait, like right there, like that's when it happens. Like never get into a relationship like when you're going through like dark periods, honestly, because I feel like like people pry
Probably
on
not
you.
a job.
People kind of like look at you and they know what weakness looks like. And I remember I was working at McDonald's and this is where I met
Mm.
Nathan at McDonald's. And the thing with that is that Nathan, I had a type. I used to like bad boys, guys with the long hair. So I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. Yeah,
Mhm.
I did. I had a type. We all had type.
I think we all have a type. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely
So
understand.
I will admit to that because I wasn't perfect, but I was a virgin. I was innocent. So I was like, wow, he has long hair. And I'm like,
Mhm.
now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, like he has long hair like me. Now that I think about it, we both had the same length of hair, same color. And it was just something about him because I was going through this thing with Millie shortly after. So I was sad. And he would always like try to talk to me, make jokes. And I'm like, wow, like girls like funny guys, right? And vice versa.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
So
As
then
they
I'm like,
do.
yeah. So then I'm like, oh wow, like like he's a nice guy. He's flirting with me. I'm flirting back. He's in the kitchen, of course, and I'm at the cash register. And it's not even shortly like after, like we kind of start to have a relationship in a sense, but it happened quick. I don't know how I got into that relationship. And I'm like, wait a minute, like he lost his job at McDonald's, by the way,
Mm.
right? His
Wow.
aunt got it for him because she's the one that was working there with us. And one day I don't see him. And I think she's telling me, I don't know, I think he stole something because he
Oh.
was a liar, right?
Okay.
Mm.
I didn't know that.
So you didn't know these things, right? So
I
the
didn't,
liar
I didn't
part
know.
and
Yeah.
stealing, you didn't. That wasn't something that was brought to the forefront for you.
Ugh, no, not that. I didn't know he used drugs. Like all of this, like
Oh
I didn't
man.
know. Yeah, he was a drug user. So then she's telling me like, like he got fired because he stole something. And I was like, wow. So then he calls me at the job because at that time I didn't really have like a cell phone. And he's like, hey, so I'm working at Quiznos. I quit the job. He said something that he quit the job because the manager, she and I kind of rationalized with him, like the manager, she was not a good person. So
Hmm.
I'm like, maybe it was that, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not thinking like, why would his aunt even lie about it, right? Why would an adult lie about those things? But
Right.
I'm a
Because you're
kid.
young yourself, so I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
It's like a
Yeah.
lesson learned. I don't know.
yeah,
It
yeah,
happens when you're young.
yeah.
Yeah, like you think you're in love, right? And you're not.
Right.
So then he's like, oh babe, I found a job at Quiznos, and Quiznos was only like 2 blocks away from me. I'm not thinking, guys, that that is a red flag because yes, it might be cute, but that was a way of him to control me.
Mm.
That was a way for him to watch me,
Got it. Okay.
right?
Yeah, because it
And
was 2 blocks away from you. Okay.
Mm.
right, and soon I would find out that all of those things that I said were cute turned into a nightmare because there would be many times where Nathan would just show up and not tell me that he was picking me up at work.
Mm.
And it got to the point that it was like, okay, it's cute. I would like to walk with you sometimes. But you know how like you feel like sometimes you just want to read a good book
Hmm.
after a long day and you just want to travel on your own. You don't You don't need him,
Right.
right? That's what I wanted. He didn't understand it. And I remember I told him, because some things I remember and other things are still a little fuzzy.
Hmm.
So I remember clearly telling him like it would be nice, that if sometimes I can walk by myself. And I forgot what he told me to try to rationalize it and convince me. And I was like, all right. So I kind of acquiesced until one day he showed up and I had enough.
Hmm.
So I had a manager named Lulu, and Lulu was like, "Guess who's waiting for you outside?" It was the ending of my shift. It's 11. It's 11 at night. So I tell Lulu, let's just go to the entrance downstairs. So that's the way we got away. Lulu was taking the 2 train like me, so he's like, "I can walk you home." I thought that I was gonna come home, go to sleep. I'm tired. I have to wake up early and work. Nathan comes to the door and he's banging on my door.
Mm.
Oh
My
my
mom is
gosh.
sleeping. Yep. My mom doesn't know I have this relationship. She has no idea. And I'm in the hallway and I'm trying to calm Nathan down. And I believe it was at this point that Nathan raised his hand at me. It was the first time I think he slapped me or punched me.
In front of your mom, Eileen?
No, my mom, thank God, never woke up. She never woke up.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
she yelled like, "Who is it?" And I'm like, "Mom, I got it." And I kind of tried to calm him down, and he reacted and he hit me.
And when you say he hit you, was this a punch? Was this a
This
slap?
was
Was this
this was
a shove to the wall? Describe
this
that.
this was like a closed fist kind of punch,
Oh,
like
wow.
in my mouth, and I'm not even my father, and I'm like, I remember I was frozen because I'm like, what do you do in these situations? And Nathan, of course, he's apologizing. He's never done it. It's the first time he puts his hand on someone, whatever. And I remember just, I don't know how I got him to leave. And I couldn't even sleep. I didn't know how to tell my mom that this was going on. And this thing happened a few months down the line, honestly. And my mother never found out until we went to a doctor's visit. And in that doctor's visit, the doctor is examining me, and he's like, you went from 120 pounds to 96 pounds in a matter of just like days. Um, and he was comparing it to when I got a checkup, which it wasn't too long from there. And I'm taking off for the examination. My mom is not in the room. I have bruises on my body that I was hiding. And I believe that he kind of like knew.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, I think he was like throwing hints now that I think about it. Like, if you're in some kind of situation, you got to tell someone. It's not
Yeah.
normal. And my mom, first of all, my mom never was abused. I never saw this growing up, like where I saw my mom getting abused by men. I think my mom was the abuser, the aggressor, honestly. Um, but it just, I know people say like, it's, people like seeing it, being around it. I was never really around it, so I didn't know what to look for. And those are red flags.
So,
Mm.
Eileen, you were, if I'm understanding this correctly and to interpret it for our listeners, so you were, because you didn't see it, right? You did
I,
not grow up around an abuse or anything like that.
no,
So you're kind of thinking in your mind, little teenager girl, that this is normal, right?
yeah,
To get beat on? Is that what
yeah.
you're, what you're stating to us, right? It's
I,
normal.
yeah, like literally, because I was mentally abused, financially, and I had a low, like when you're coming out of high school, like I was working on my self esteem. I had a very low self esteem, and he would pick at it. So I always rationalized that like he's the only man that's gonna love me. I lost my virginity to him at this point. He coerced me to do it, by the way. Um, and I was like, maybe I did deserve it. Maybe I did push boundaries. Is what I used to tell myself. And honestly, like when the doctor kind of like encouraged me to say something. Um, and it's not like I could hide it because I think my mom also saw the bruises.
Mhm.
And that's when I really started. I let everything out. No one knew this was my reality. I didn't tell anyone.
Eileen, let me ask you this: how often would he abuse you?
Oh my God. Like every time we were together for anything stupid,
Every day. Oh wow.
every day it would be like he loved to attack my face. For some reason, it was always my face. And he would say I was ugly. And he would just honestly like he had this like even issue with stealing. Um, and I was like, I know that many people are like, what are you doing with this guy? And it's easier said than done
Hmm.
because fear keeps you here, right?
Right. Right.
This psychopath already met my family. And that is one thing, guys, protect your family like the mafia. Never ever present families like just a few months. Get to really know them, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
And he knew my family, so he would get me with my mom, would get me with with my twin sister. And I was like, I could never carry that if something happened because I know what he's capable of. So I'm like, if he's gonna kill anyone, let it be me.
Oh my
um
goodness. And Eileen, I just want to like just stop here really quick, and if you don't mind, because it's in my chest, and I want to ask you,
sure.
what was the worst beating he did to you, like you encountered? Did you have to end up going to the hospital or anything? What was the worst one out of all of them?
Okay, so this is the thing. So the worst one was when I got knocked up by him. I was pregnant. I was not getting any prenatal care. And
Oh my
when you're
God.
pregnant, right?
You're
um
so fragile.
Yes. And I wasn't taking care of myself. I was 92 pounds, for crying out loud, still losing weight. I couldn't keep anything down. Everything I ate, I threw up. And every time he would get close to me, because his cologne was repulsive, he would like pull my hair, even while being pregnant. And the worst beating that I got when I was pregnant that sent me to the hospital was that we were supposed to go out to the restaurant to eat. And I didn't really want to comb my hair because it was the first time that I felt hungry and I wanted to eat. He found out he was going to have a son and I thought he was happy. This psychopath, right, grabs me by my hair, pulls me by my hair, and pulls me down. And I'm on the floor. Fetal position. I'm 5.5 weeks pregnant. I'm lying, 5 months pregnant in fetal position because I'm trying to protect my son. Um, and he starts beating me and he's like kicking me and he's like hitting me, but I'm like telling him like, why are you doing this? Like, stop, like, please. And I'm like screaming to God, like, please. And when I think that he's gonna stop, this is what this motherfucker does. He goes to the kitchen and I hear him fumbling in the drawer. And I'm like, that's the knife drawer. He gets two knives. He holds it to me, my throat, and my son. And he goes, which one? Which one is it gonna be?
Oh
Oh.
no.
Yep. And he goes, is it you or him? And I go, are you serious right now? And he goes, who's it? Who is it? Is it you or him? And this is what he told me. So this is trigger warning. He said, I will beat you so bad that when that baby comes out, I will crush his skull. That's what he told me verbatim. And I was like, at that point, I don't know if I said a silent prayer, but I told God, I was like, God, if you free me from this, I promise you I will devote my life to you. So just alone with that beating, my water breaks. I'm rushed to the hospital. The doctors are trying to prolong my pregnancy. They're like, yours, I hit the 6 months. I have to be in the hospital for
Mhm.
observation because they're like, you don't really have any fluids up there, so we have to keep you here. So I remember Nathan visiting me at the hospital. And again, we get into an argument about some book because he claims to be Christian. And he gives me another beating in the
Mm.
hospital,
At the hospital? At
at
the
the
hospital?
hospital,
Oh
as
my God.
security guards are right outside, right? They come in And this beautiful nurse goes, he's never going to change. She's like, this is
Mm.
what we're going to do for you. When you have that baby, don't call him. We're going to put you in a shelter. And she's like, I know that you're going to want to go back with him because you have a son. But she's like, do me a favor, never do that. He's never going to change. And something in her, like something clicked. And then after, even shortly after that beating, like the doctors were like, you have to do an emergency C-section. Your son has to be born
At 6 months?
at just 6 months.
Oh, preemie baby, huh?
Preemie. So of course, you know me, I don't know why I called him in. So they're prepping me for the C-section and he's there in the room. And it's the first time that I hear my son, and my son he's crying, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know, maybe this will change him. I'm still hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, right? And that's the thing. My son was premature, so he had to be in the hospital for 16 days in observation. He was born November 7th. And I was like, man, like I couldn't even vote. So I was like, it was one of the happiest days of my life. I was like, wow, my son is born, you know. Um,
Of
my
course.
mom, yeah, even though my mom hated him, my mom really hated him. Everyone did. But for this baby, I'm like, all right, maybe everyone could get together because I'm under a lot of stress.
Oh wow. So you were actually thinking, and again, we women go through that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Where regardless of the situation, an emotional, physical relationship, yes, things are gonna get better. We have a baby now. I know that this is basically gonna make the relationship fall or align it perfectly fine now.
Yeah.
We got a kid, everything's gonna be good. I'm
That's
assuming those were the thoughts.
right. And you're young because this should have been my thought now as an adult. I should have been like, do you really want to raise your son looking at this monster as an example? Do you want your son to also think that it's okay to beat women and do these things? Right? That's
Yes.
what I should have been thinking. But
Mm.
there's me. But
So that
yeah,
So that was not the turning point yet, was it, Eileen? Tell me, when was that turning point? Your baby was born. You were
my
still thinking, you know what? This relationship could turn around. There's still hope.
yeah.
Let's talk about that turning point. What happened then?
All right, so this is how everything culminated. So basically, my son was left in the hospital for 16 days. I had a beautiful nurse that watched my son all throughout. And this is trigger warning because it's emotional enough. Like
Yeah.
me, I can tell this story honestly. And these are tears of joy because God is good. So the nurse, I remember I got a call one day and they're like, you gotta rush your son he isn't moving his bowels and he has something called necrotizing enterocolitis. He has a bacteria. We have to operate. So I'm like, oh my God, he's so small. And I'm praying to God, like, let my baby live. And, everyone did what they could. And I remember the nurse ran out and she gave me a hug. And she's like, I'm so sorry. When she said those words, that's when I knew that my son he was going. He was
Oh,
going. He died November 22nd in my arms. And I had Nathan next to me. I was like, and I remember thinking, you monster, like, this is why we're here. Like, you don't get to cry. And I remember they gave me my son as he's deceased. And I'm there and I'm like, I'm kind of mad at God. I'm not seeing that God really, like, God showed me why he does what he does. And I was like, God, how could you take my baby away? So then in this, we're grieving. My mom lets Nathan stay in the house. We cremate Josiah. I named him Josiah.
oh man, that's beautiful, by the way. The
Yeah,
name.
thanks. Yeah, I named him Josiah Elijah, and my twin sister named her son Elijah. But so after that, Nathan stays over, and Nathan doesn't even care that I'm grieving. Nathan SAs me, like he sexually assaults me, and he's like, oh, stop crying. We're gonna make another Josiah. Just like that, while my mother is in the house. I was like, you know what, this is it. And I
Wow.
called my mom, and my twin sister beat the shit out of him and kicked him out of the house. And he left. And I told God, I was like, I don't ever want to see him.
Mm.
The last time I saw him, I opened the door and Nathan tried to choke me. He tried to kill me. Um, because I thought it was my mom. My mom was a school teacher. She worked up the block from the house. So I'm thinking she was gonna come home. We could have lunch. I opened the door absentmindedly, and all I see is Nathan's eyes. It's like black. It's like Satan is in him. And I'm like, oh shit. So I run to my room, and Nathan is choking me. And when I tell you, I have like I thought that this was only in movies, but your life literally is flashing right before your eyes. I could see all my memories leaving my body, and they're going quick, and I'm trying to catch them. And I remember telling God, God, this can't be me. I can't die here. I want to live. And I hear God tell me, He's like, this is what I want you to do. He's gonna, I'm gonna untighten the grip. You're gonna run, you're gonna go to the phone, you're gonna call your mother because she's gonna come quicker than 911 can. Call your mom. And I remember his grip is starting to let go. And at this point, I almost don't even have air. And I don't even think he knows that. I ran to the phone. And I remember he doesn't even chase me. It's like he's in a trance, like God has him in a trance. I get to the phone and I'm like, Mom, he's trying to kill me. He's here. My mom gets there, I want to say within a few minutes of that call. And he snaps out of the trance and he runs past my mom. And I want to say that's the last time like I saw him. Um,
Mhm.
but like any other time that I had interactions with him, it like it was like years later that I'm like healed, you know?
Yeah.
But honestly, guys, like these are signs you do not want to ignore. Jealousy, never ever call jealousy cute, because the same things that they love about you, they're going to hate about you.
And as of today, what is Nathan up to? Do you know what's going on with him? Did he ever apologize?
Oh,
And I'm gonna embed another question in there. Have you find it in your heart to forgive him?
yeah. All right, those are loaded questions. So I have forgiven Nathan. I really have. Like I wish him nothing but the best, honestly. God bless him. Um, but I know that he had a girlfriend short like after us, like when we had, I think it was like MySpace around there, and then transitioning into Facebook. I saw this beautiful girl. She looked just like me, same hair and everything. I was like, oh, this psychopath has a type. Um, and I,
Wow.
huh?
I'm just saying, wow. I'm just laughing like
Yeah,
really, really went, wow. He's gonna start a new cycle all over again, pretty
right.
much.
And I believe he had two kids. One was a girl and the other a boy. They're beautiful. And he named one of them Josiah, like his son. I was like, okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Um, but Nathan, honestly, like in terms of like anything that I know, that was it. And I know that he always used to call me fat, honestly. And it's crazy because like I really like because of this trauma, like I work out a lot and I get really strong. Because I was like, I would not ever let any man or anyone ever beat on me the way he did as I was 18 years old. I'm not
Mm,
anyone's rag doll, and neither are you, right?
yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. And
But
I and
mhm.
Eileen, I'm sorry. Do you want to say
No,
something?
you go right ahead.
No, you're fine.
Eileen, and right now, what when you decided to just transition, like, okay, this is enough. You stopped you stopped seeing him.
Oh yeah.
What happened with Eileen after that, and what was your focus?
Honestly, like what happened with me is like he killed the meekness in me, and it almost like my heart was getting hard, and I felt like that's not where God wanted me to, honestly. So I had to like work on forgiving him, forgiving myself,
Yeah,
and know that I went from surviving to thriving. Because just getting the emotional abuse from my head and telling myself I'm not stupid. I went to college, I got my associates with a 3.8. I went to John Jay.
man,
Yeah, I went to John
amen.
Jay criminology. I got a 3.9. I'm currently right now in my master's program at a 4.0
Oh,
for
that's
teaching.
a blessing. That's a
Yeah.
That is
blessing.
wonderful. Very wonderful. So glad to hear that, Eileen.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, such a story that you have there, and I pray that everyone really listens. It was really heartbreaking, but in the sense of it being heartbreaking, it was also relieving to find out that you were able to find your way out of that and grow into the person that you are now, the woman that you are right now. Um, we mentioned earlier about your podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that podcast? And we know that it was inspired by your aunt and what happened to her. But give the audience a little bit about your podcast and where they can find it and how they can listen.
Sure, guys. So my podcast, Murder, Blood, and Psychopaths, inspired by this psychopath, but I also know that my story isn't an outlier, and I believe like God and my therapist were like pushing me, like you have to tell a story. So my story is on it from beginning to end, and there's more details on it because more things happen, but you guys can listen to it Spotify, wherever you guys listen to. Honestly, Murder, Blood, and Psychopaths, you guys will find it. But guys, I really want to leave you guys with this. Like, you guys literally can go from literally surviving to thriving. It's possible, honestly, but I would never be here if it wasn't by the grace of God, because God saved me out of that situation. And I know that my son is my angel in heaven. And I'd rather my son be with our creator than be with this person as a father. And I don't know if he went to abuse this girl because he messaged me one time that, oh, well, she didn't deserve it. You did. And I was like, yeah, no.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
Yeah, shitty all around. But, even with that, I've had to forgive. I was like, you know what? I got to let go and let God, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and Eileen, I what I really want to say to you is that I can only imagine the pain that you had went through losing a son.
Oh, yeah.
I am so very sorry that happened. As a parent, you never want to go through a situation like that. And my heart breaks, And what I love about your story is that you realize that it was just not about survival. It's not. I love the fact that your story is about power,
Yeah.
empowerment, woman taking leadership here
Yeah.
and going forward in life with your head up high. And for our listeners that are out here with a situation like this, they're actually finding themselves in a abusive relationship.
Yeah.
What would be your advice for someone that's still whispering their truth in the dark? Let's be honest, they're out in the dark, they're afraid to tell somebody. What is your ultimate advice?
To me, honestly, I would always tell people is like, listen, like if someone does confide in you, like be supportive, not judgmental, because I promise you guys, it's so much easier, honestly, to judge someone in this situation. And we never understand that when you are in the thick of this situation, you don't know how it happens. You really don't, but always encourage them to do seek support from domestic violence helplines, counselors, shelters, and develop a safety plan, right? I always say that. And just be careful with communication, because a lot of them, they can bug your phones and tap into things and literally look into your conversation. So you always have to be measured with them and always think ahead. But I always say this: put God first and go to God, and I promise you, God will take you out of that situation. He took me out. I'm 36 years old.
Amen. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Eileen, we really appreciate you coming on, telling your story, talking to the audience about some of the things that you've gone through and how God brought you through. And that's the important message there, along with learning about the signs of abuse, but what God has brought you through.
And Eileen, I really want to thank you for your bravery. I can't say that enough. And
Oh,
talking about faith, because a situation like that could kind of, move you away from faith. Like, why, God? Why are you doing this? And I appreciate the clarity that you're offering embracing awareness to this cause, and really showing us what it looks like to fight for truth without losing yourself in the process. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys were awesome. Thank you guys for having me. And I really hope it resonates. And honestly, I hope we're saving lives here. Honestly.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much again, Eileen. This has been Conversations with
Ronnie Keith.
and Iris.